What's up, Average Dad fans? Welcome back to another video and Merry Christmas from Average Dad. I have done my duties on Christmas Day, delivered all the presents. Now it's time to deliver some content back to you. Yes, today I'm giving you my first fairly long impressions of the Huawei Mate X6. Now, on the face of it, you might think this is just a slightly upgraded Mate X3 or Mate X5. But you'd be wrong. Let's go. So yes, I have been using the Huawei Mate X6 for around 5 days now with my SIM card popped inside. And every element of this device, from hardware to even software, has been an absolute joy. Beyond my expectations, particularly with the upcoming rumours and scaremongering from certain media outlets about Harmony OS Next not allowing APKs. A lot of people have been put off the recent Huawei Mate 70 Pro Plus and the Huawei Mate X6 because they are worried that micro G will not work on it. Well, in this video I will briefly show you that everything works perfectly, quicker and easier than ever before to install micro G. But really this is my first impressions of the overall design, build, hardware, cameras, all that really cool stuff that you care about. So in terms of design, yes, this is essentially the same looking device as a Mate X3 and X5. But only on looks, and looks are only skin deep, folks, remember that. In terms of the actual dimensions, this is a larger yet thinner and lighter device. Yes, the inner screen has moved up to 7.93 inches from the 7.85. And the outer cover screen has a bump to 6.45 inches, making it almost the largest outer screen on any device. However, with the non-existent bezels and the symmetrical look on the outer screen, unlike the Google Pixel 9 Pro Fold, this is the most like a candy bar phone on the outer screen I have ever experienced. So of course your usual benefits like keyboards and two-handed typing are not an issue with this device. Now, I mentioned this was the thinnest and lightest. This has got a bit of a slimming down from 243 grams down to 239 grams. It also has got thinner. Yes, we can now add the Huawei Mate X6 to the -10mm club. Yes, this phone is 9.8mm when folded and a staggering 4.6mm when unfolded. Yes, the Honor Magic V3 and the Xiaomi Mix Fold 4 are thinner, but I think hopefully you will all agree with me that any phone that can break the 10mm when folded is good enough for me. I also just want to add a caveat, that's thin enough. The Honor Magic V3 in my opinion is pushing it slightly too far at 9.2mm. I don't need my foldable phone to be as thin as a candy bar phone when folded. Purely because when you do that, you're sacrificing something, whether it's durability, whether it's a wireless charging feature, or just overall look and feel in the hand. The Mate X6 is almost the perfect sweet spot. In fact, it might be the perfect sweet spot of a really thin device that feels ultra premium. And I think if we broke through the 9mm mark, it would be too thin. Now the upgrades on the X6 do not stop there. The X6 has a brighter and sharper screen. The inner screen is actually close to 3K resolution with a full HD panel on the outer screen. Both 120Hz, both LTPO. Yeah, really clear, bright and immersive screens. And I have to talk about it, it's a fold phone, the crease, or should I say lack thereof. Yes, the Huawei has managed to implement the larger form factor and reduce the crease size. As you can see here, you're always going to see a crease in certain lights. If you have a dark wallpaper, it'll show up more. If you have a light wallpaper, it'll show up less. But running your finger across it, much like the new Samsung SE and the Vivo X Fold 3 Pro, it's almost unnoticeable. Now, of course, the upgrades don't just stop with hardware, and we'll talk about cameras and battery soon. I do just want to touch on the software, because this is where slight issues come in when it comes to Huawei, unfortunately. But let's talk about the things that they can control. Their chipset. They're going with the Kirin 9020, an upgrade to the 9010 on the X5, and they're also going with the Mailcon 920 GPU. All that to be said, for someone like myself, I could get by with a 5-year-old chipset at this point. I don't use my foldable phone to its full extreme with gaming or 100 apps open at the same time. So I'm not your right test subject. All I can say is this phone is plenty powerful. I've got about 20 apps running in the background with no lag or slowing down issues whatsoever. And I mentioned about Harmony OS next. That is to come very, very soon. But this is currently running Harmony OS 4.3. And here in the Western market, no matter where you buy your Huawei, whether it be from Huawei Global or Huawei China, it's the same really, folks. I mean, there's some features that will work fantastically well, and then others that just won't, unless you've got multiple Huawei devices. Yeah, you're not going to take full advantage of some of the Harmony OS features, but I can tell you that customization, I can tell you that the animation speed and the overall look and feel of it feels super smooth and iPhone-like, if that's a good thing or not. And now we will talk the cameras. The cameras have all received an upgrade, kind of. The sensor sizes have increased for sure. The aperture has improved for sure. The main lens gets an actual physical aperture change. Yes, you can change it from all the way from f1 to f4 stop. Essentially, you can let in more light or less light, allowing more bokeh or not. But that 50 megapixel lens gives some really good bokeh naturally anyway. There is also a 40 megapixel ultra wide with 120 degrees field of view, which brings in some really good photos. Folks, if you've ever used a Huawei, if you know anything about smartphones, you will know that for years and years, the Western market, your Googles, your Samsungs and your iPhones have been talking about specs and cameras. Well, the whole time in the corner, Huawei have just been looking on and laughing at what we try to achieve. Huawei have been the leader in cameras for many, many years, and it kind of continues. The difference being that Huawei's competition isn't just coming from the West, it's coming from companies such as Vivo and Oppo. And as you all know, my 2024 phone of the year is the Vivo X Fold 3 Pro. It has a triple camera setup, it has really fantastic flagship lenses like the Huawei Mate X6. It's also got a 3x telephoto zoom lens, whereas the Huawei has a 4x periscope optical zoom lens. Yes, 4 times, which is actually, for the eagle-eyed among you, a bit less than what's previously been had on the X3 and X5. Those were 5 times. But folks, the sensor is better, the sensor is larger, and as you can see here, the outputs are pretty phenomenal from a foldable phone. In terms of video recording, it's a standard affair here, sadly. It's 4K on the front and rear cameras, however, both capped at 60 frames per second. You all know that I like 120 frames per second for B-roll and slow motions, and I just think 120 frames per second looks really cool. The fact that we're not getting that is probably due to the limitations of that Kirin chip. It's definitely not anywhere near like the MediaTek or Snapdragon. So I guess we're going to have to wait a little bit longer if we're looking for 120 frames per second from a Huawei, or indeed 8K resolution. And finally, I just want to discuss battery life. In my experience using it for the past 5 days, I've charged it a total of twice, because there is a large 5150 milliamp hour battery in here that charges wired at 66 watts, and of course, Huawei being Huawei, it's 50 watts wireless charge as well. So no sacrifices when it comes to battery speeds or capacity. Again, slight upgrade in capacity over the Mate X5. Now, that's kind of your spec dump. That's the differences between the X6 and the previous X5 and how it compares against other flagship foldable phones. But I know you're all sitting there thinking, what about Google Apps? Well, I've already done a micro G installation video and I followed along to my own video, and of course it worked perfectly. If you are a big user of WhatsApp, like I am, one of the key features of using WhatsApp is linking devices. You can have your main WhatsApp account, but then you can link multiple devices to keep up to date. So for example, I link my WhatsApp to my MacBook Pro, and I'm delighted to say with the Huawei using micro G, that all works. I have 3 devices linked to my Huawei Mate X6, my MacBook, my Vivo, and my Red Magic, with no issues. And in terms of notifications, yes, they all come through on time every time. I get notification alerts, I get the little red bubble mark. Folks, trust me, notifications work no problem at all. And in terms of other applications, such as your Instagrams and Google Mail and Google Maps, again, once you've logged into your Google account through micro G, it all just works. I honestly haven't had any issues. Now, other little things that may be of interest, I have set Google Messages and Google Phone as my default phone and messages applications, and when I log into my PayPal account on the phone or anywhere, it'll want to send me a text message to verify. I can confirm that those verification text messages all come through instantly to the Huawei Mate X6. So for anyone that needs an activation code to get onto your Microsoft account or any other accounts, those come through with no issues whatsoever. In terms of the usual stuff, because I know people are going to ask, Android Auto doesn't work, folks. You will not be able to pair your Wear OS smartwatch, but I've mentioned this before, the Huawei Watch Ultimate is probably the best smartwatch on the planet, and if you don't want to spend that much, Huawei do many other smartwatches that will connect just fine with this device. And Google location history does not work on this. If you're one of those 1 in a million people that check their Google location history, then yeah, sorry, the Mate X6 or any Huawei device for that matter will not be for you. So, to summarise, my long-term first impressions. Having owned the Huawei Mate X3 and X5 and now X6, I can tell you the X6 is an upgrade. Probably not as much of an upgrade from the X5, so if you own the X5, I wouldn't go rushing out to buy the X6. While there is, the obvious benefits I've just mentioned, I don't think it's quite worth forking out a couple of grand on the device. Which, by the way, if you are looking to purchase the device, do your research, but I do stock it at the Average Dad Tech Store. We have sold a few already, and customers are satisfied. So check out the Average Dad Tech Store for the Huawei Mate X6, the Huawei Mate 70 Pro Plus, or any Chinese ROM device. I stock them all. So that's been my first impressions of the Huawei Mate X6 in this lovely blue colour. Let me know what you think. Leave your comments down below. If you've got any questions, as always, leave them down below. And I'll be back soon with the final phone of the year. Yes, I have a few other videos to do, reviews, full reviews on some, but I've got one more phone to unbox, and I'm keeping all my fingers crossed that it comes before January the 1st. I want to squeeze this into 2024. It's the Honor Magic 7 RSR, the Porsche design edition of the Honor Magic 7. A lot of you have been asking where my Honor Magic 7 Pro full review is. As you know, it's only the Chinese version out just now. I was going to wait for the global version. Now that I'm waiting for the RSR, should I just wait for the RSR? I've had a few people say that the zoom lens is getting updates and the software is getting updates. Well, the Honor has been out for a couple of months now, so yeah, they're kind of losing a bit of grace with me just now, if I'm being honest. They should not ship a phone that is not ready. But I will do my unboxing and first impressions of the RSR. There's a million other things to do. As you all know, I'm about to hit 43,000 subscribers. But by the end of 2025, 12 months to the day, I would like to hit 100,000 subscribers. And I will save the giveaways until the new year, but trust me, as soon as we hit 100k, there will be a lot of happy people getting their dream phone. Until next time.